from Stekla, and he's going to speak about homotopy, finiteness of the right categories of coherent demands.
And now it's appears.
So you have to point the little things.
I'll start with some reminding some facts about architectures of categories and perfect complexes, and all the triangulation features which I will consider are basically assumed to be enhanced, and we actually identify the category with its DG enhancements. Pick some basic field K, and we'll take some separated scheme of finite type over.
I'm sorry about that. Sometimes it does this, and then the videos do it again.
And we denote as usual by the Efimov of X, the direct category of coherent shapes on X. And one can take any of the standard DG enhancements of this category, for example, by taking the complexes of injective coherent shapes and taking the usual home complexes. And have a full subcategory of perfect complexes inside the Efimov, which is denoted by curve X. And it consists of objects which are directly locally quasi-isomorphic to just complexes of locally free shapes, or just free shapes, which is local of finite round. I'll just recall what is smoothness and properness for DG categories. So if we have any small DG category over a field, over the basic field, then following definition, I think it is due to Kanzerich, that the category A is called smooth if the diagonal bimodal over A is perfect. So in the case when A is DG eligible, you just basically take A with action on the left and on the right, and you can do this the same stuff with any small DG category. And it is called proper or compact if the complexes of morphisms have finite dimensional homology. Again, in the case of the DG eligible, it just means that the DG eligible has finite dimensional homology, or it is perfect over the basic field, which is the same. And one can show the following comparison result. I think it's folklore. I'm not sure.
Wasn't it proved by rules
I think it was proved by anyone who was thinking about this.
but it was written down carefully by them.
Yes, but okay, the paper. Yeah, but. I'm not sure who was the first.
I mean, I asked Paul if he gave you the reference.
Okay, but if you ask another person, he will give you another reference. I think. So yeah. So I'm not sure about who was first about this. But anyway, nowadays it's a very easy exercise to check that for a scheme to be smooth, it's the same as for the DG category for the complexes to be smooth, and the same for properness. Okay. And on the other hand, for the derived category of coherent shapes, one has quite surprising result if you didn't think about this. That just provided that the basic field K is perfect, for example, for intrinsic zero, and then for any scheme with arbitrary singularities, but just separated of finite type, you have that the derived category of coherent shapes is smooth, and this actually reduces to existence of dualizing complex on X, and you can actually even not assume that K is perfect, but just assume that X has a stratification with smooth strata. I mean, perfect is needed. K is perfect, then regular is the same as smooth. It's not that. It isn't, but I mean, at least for K perfect, just for any separate scheme of finite type, this category is smooth. Okay, and now I recall what is homotopy finiteness. So first, I recall that the algebra is finite cellular or finite cell. If first it is free finitely generated as a graded algebra with some homogeneous generators x1 and so on xn, and have the differential of xi is contained in the graded subalgebra generated by x1 and so on I minus 1. And actually it is such a notion can be defined for quite a large class of model categories, and if you define a similar notion for topological spaces, you get the usual CW complexes. So like adding a new variable, I mean when you're freely adding a new variable and saying that the differential of it is something which you already have, it's the same as to attach a cell of dimension n and to glue, I mean the boundary, so the n minus 1 dimensional sphere should be mapped to something we already have. So I mean similar thing happens here. And again, this is defined for a large class of model categories. And the algebra is called homotopically finite represented or homotopy finite type if it is a homotopy reflect of some finite cellular algebra. And again, for topological spaces, this is what is called finitely dominated spaces. Again, it's retrieved in the homotopy category. And here, yeah, I didn't write it, but here the homotopy category is the category which you get when you take GG algebras and just formally invert quasi-isomorphisms. Like again, in topological spaces, you can formally invert weak equivalences, and you get the homotopy category. Okay. And small GG category A is called homotopically finite represented if it is Marek equivalent to some homotopically finite GG algebra, which means that perfect complexes over A is equivalent to perfect complexes over some homotopically finite GG algebra. And theorem which proved by myself in 2012 that if the basic field has characteristic 0, then actually the derived category of coherent shifts is always homotopically finite. And this uses Kuznetsov and Bloom's categorical resolution of singularities, which in turn uses actually Hernak's theorem, so the usual resolution of singularities, which requires the basic field to have characteristic 0. But I will not go into the details. I'll just mention this result for derived category of coherent shifts. And so from now I will turn to the models, and from now on the basic field will have characteristic 0. So if we have a smooth scheme of finite type over K, then we have a sheaf of differential operators dx on x. So this is a sheaf of rings which contains the structure sheaf of the scheme as a subsheaf. And we will consider the right models, which is right quasi-coherent sheaves of the X models, and similar the coherent the models, and we have the derived categories.
So I'm going to ask, DG enhancement is unique in a certain sense for DB-Koch, for normal DB-Koch and derived category basic coherent.
Well,
is there a uniqueness statement for?
There are no uniqueness statements, and actually, derived category of an abelian category always has a canonical enhancement, which is given basically by DG quotient of. So the homotopy category is always enhanced, and you take the DG quotient by side. Yes, so it's not a problem. But again, yeah, you can choose some model like.
No, I was not implying there was a problem. I was just wondering if anybody knows what the enhancements.
I think nobody thought about this. Okay. Okay. Now.
Together, turn this 1 second. Just 1 second.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Now I just recall that, I will not recall the whole machinery with how to work with the models, but at least I should recall that we have a push-forward functor. So if we have a morphism, let's say smooth schemes, then one defines by model over, so this is a sheaf on y, on which the differential operator on y left x on the left, and the preimage of, I mean, this is not a star, but f, just preimage, I mean, theoretically, of dx. So this is a y model, and it is defined by the same formula as just the f star of the differential operators on x. But the point is that if you write it like this, it is clear that preimage of differential operators on x on the right, and it's also quite easy to see that differential operators on y act on the left, and the push-forward functor on derived categories is by definition the following: you just multiply your right dy model by this y model, and then take the derived push-forward, I mean shift direct, and you get complex of models over dx. And if the morphism f is proper, then actually similar to the case of coherent shifts, the push-forward functor maps dbcoq to dbcoq. And very important result of Shawara states that if this morphism is actually a closed embedding of smooth schemes, then the functor, the push-forward functor, is fully faithful and actually preserves the destruction. So it maps. So it's actually also a fully faithful functor on the event categories. And its essential image is exactly a subcategory of complexes whose homology is supported on Y. Okay, and now I want to drop the assumption that my scheme X is smooth, and but let's for the moment assume that we have a closed embedding of X into some smooth X prime. For example, we can take, we can assume that X is quasi-projective and take, well, say projective, well, if quasi-projective, then obviously we can take X prime to be a projective space for its open subset. So in this case, the abelian category of quasi-coherent models on X is defined to be the category of the models on X prime supported on X. And I mean, this is exactly motivated by Shawara's theorem. And one can show that this category actually depends only on X. It doesn't depend on the embedding into a smooth scheme. I mean, this is all well known. Moreover, it can be defined for any separated scheme of finite type. Even if there is no global embedding, you can embed it locally and then glue from, say, a fine chart. Okay. And again, we denote still we do not consider in the case when X is singular, we don't consider the sheaf of differential operators on X because it's not a reasonable object in general, but still we denote it the same way. I mean, the derived categories, also coherent models.
How do you define it with no embedding of X?
Again, I don't go into details, but you can define it locally, and then you define the restriction functors, and you basically glue them. Yes. Okay, and actually the main result of this talk is that for any separated scheme X of finite type, the category of which is derived category of coherent the models on X is homotopic defined representative. And I'd like to sketch proof how this can be done. So first, probably I should do it. I should have done this earlier, but now I report the general results on homotopy defined G categories. These facts are due to Cohen and here. And first, if the category is homotopically finitely presented, then it is smooth in the above sense. And if it's smooth and proper, which is also called saturated, then it is homotopically finitely presented. And also, if you have some homotopically finitely presented category and an object, then if you take the quotient by this object, then you get something homotopically finitely presented. When I say an object, we can actually take a subcategory generated by this object and calculate the subcategory. And there's notion of non-commutative smooth compactification for digicategories. So it is such a saturated digicategory B, such that our category A can be obtained from B by taking the quotient by one object. And I mean, the geometric motivation for this is that if your A is a derived category of some smooth but non-compact scheme, then you can take smooth compactification in the usual sense and take the derived category of the compactification. And you can take as E the generator of the subcategory supported on the divisor at infinity. And when you take the quotient, you get the initial category. So this is that's why it's called non-commutative smooth compactification. And corollary of this general effects is that if your small digicategory admits a smooth compactification, it is non-commutative sense, then it is homotopically finitely presented. So now suppose that our scheme is smooth and we want to construct a non-commutative smooth compactification of the derived category of coherent D-modules. And we can actually assume that X is proper because we can first compactify X in the commutative direction, and then so the problem reduces to the case when X is not just smooth but proper. And then let us take, I mean, first, the sheaf of differential operators can be can be considered as a deformation of the functions on the cotangent bundle, so of the symmetric algebra of the tangent bundle. And in that case, if you have some total space of vector bundle, it's very easy to construct the compactification. You just take the projective closure in each fiber. So you just take the direct sum of your vector bundle and the trivial vector bundle of rank 1 and take the projectivization. And you can do this for D models in a similar way, but the result will be of course non-commutative. So what we do is the following. We take the standard imprisoned filtration by the order of the differential operator, and the adjoint graded is just the symmetric algebra of the tangent bundle. Then we can take the graded sheaf of Rees algebras, which is basically the direct sum of the terms of filtration of the differential operators. And following Arts and Zhang, one can find this relative projective spectrum of this sheaf over X. So I mean, one can find the abelian category of coherent sheaves. And this is just the coherent sheaves over coherent models over this graded OX algebra Rx. And we need to take the quotient by models which are coherent over OX. I mean, this is the same construction as in the theorem of Serre when you describe the coherent sheaves on the projective spectrum of some graded commutative algebra. This is basically the same. And we denote by Debye-Koch the derived category of this coherent sheaves. And this actually proposition, it's not hard to show that this category Debye-Koch of this relative projective spectrum is non-commutative smooth multiplication of Debye-Koch of of our derived category of coherent models. And just to be more precise, one can interpret this derived category as follows. We can take the filtered derived category of coherent models. I mean, this taking filtered complexes with filtration.
Yes. Sorry, you're being very fast. So correct is just a shape of graded algebras. This result is.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
So project is a genuine projective variety, right?
No, it's non-commutative algebra, so it's not a variety. But you can still define.
Use that
Yeah, but you can still define the category. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, another way to interpret this is to take the derived category of filtered coherent models. I mean, we consider what's called the good filtration models. Sorry, I'm not recording this. This is standard notion, and we have a full subcategory which let's denote it by torsion part, which consists of complexes such that such large term Fn is a cyclic complex. I mean, actually, this filtered derived category of filtered models is basically the same as derived category of coherent models over Rx, and similarly for the torsion part. And so we have actually an equivalence of this derived category of coherent shifts on this relative projective spectrum with the quotient category, and the localization is basically corresponds to forgetting the filtration. And so in particular, you can actually lift. Lifting of any object from the derived category of coherent models is to construct a filtration on it, good filtration which exists, and it's quite standard technique, allows you to show that this is localization.
It's a motion by single object.
Yes, by single object. Yes. You have a functor. Again, in the commutative situation, this divisor at infinity is basically a pressurization of the Cartesian bundle. And here you have a functor from the derived category of the pressurization of the Cartesian bundle to the kernel. And this functor, its essential image generates the kernel. So you basically take the generator of this pressurization of the Cartesian bundle. Okay. So this is a smooth case. Constructing such a smooth codification actually proves the result for the case of smooth X. And of course, the most interesting case in when our X is not smooth. And so now let's consider the general case of a separated scheme of finite type. So I recall that an abstract blow-up is a Cartesian diagram of the following form. So we have a square, and requires that F and P are proper, and I and J are closed embeddings. So in particular, T is just the preimage of S under F. So S and closed subset. And we require that on the complements, the complement to T, its reduced parts goes isomorphically to the complement to S. The motivation why this is called abstract blow-up is that if you have just a scheme X and the closed subscheme S, then you can take just a blow-up in visual sense, and you will get such a picture. But we will need only these properties of such a diagram, and the crucial technical result is actually the following. We can take derived categories of coherent models on each of these schemes S, T, Y, and X, And actually, community square digit categories. And actually, the crucial result is that this square turns out to be homotopy co-Cartesian. So the coherent models on derived category coherent models on X can be obtained as co-fibered co-product in the homotopy sense of the derived category for S, for Y, and over derived category of the models on T. Yeah, so we consider homotopy co-fibered co-product with respect to Morita model structure on digit categories. So we work with Morita equivalences. In general, such a co-fibered co-product is very complicated. The result is very complicated. You cannot control it. In the simplest case, when you take this co-product of two associative algebras over the basic fields, you get the free product of associative algebras. And in the general case of digit categories, you get something much more complicated. But here, the point is that the Kashevara's theorem for singular schemes gives you that J lower star is actually fully faithful. And in this case, such a co-product is not that hard to deal with. The proof of this result, once you believe that this is true, the proof is not very hard. It reduces to some playing with this push forward and extraordinary inverse image functions. But the result is interesting and useful by itself. Briefly, what you need to take is that you need to replace. You need to take a hybrid replacement of everything, and then take. But this is. You can define actually what is homotopy calimate for any category with a class of big equivalences. This is actually this is actually a derived way to take the hybrid co-products. So I don't have much time to go into details of this. But this is a very natural operation, and in this case, it gives you moreover the correct answer. Okay, so we take our class of equivalences, actually Morita equivalences for this homotopy hybrid co-product, and using if you use the lemma and the theorem of Karnaka on resolution of singularities and the induction on dimension, you can reduce the proof of homotopy finiteness for any separated scheme of finite type to the case of smooth X, and which was already considered above. What you need to do is actually just for example, you can just resolve the singularities of X. So this resolution will be blow up in sub scheme, and then you will get Y. The reduced part of Y will be smooth, and S and T will have smaller dimension. And once you know the result for S, T, and Y, you know the result for X. And then so you reduce to the case of Y is smooth, then we already know that it is homotopically finite, and for T and S they have smaller dimensions, so we can use the induction of dimension. So this technical lemma is actually a crucial step in the proof. And I'd like to just to say that result on abstract blocks can be interpreted in terms of Grothendieck topology. Namely, let's consider the category of schemes over K, I mean separated of finite type, and proper morphisms. It has a Grothendieck topology which was introduced by Voevodsky. That's called proper CDH topology, which we just BCDH. And for this topology, a proper morphism from X to Y is a covering if it has a constructible section. And equivalent way to say this is that any scheme point of Y, for any scheme point, if you take its pre-image, then it has a point which is rational over the residue field of Y. Okay, so this is covering, and the type of example of, I mean, actually the almost exhaustive example of such covering is an abstract blow-up as above. So if you take this diagram, then you can take the disjoint union of S and Y and take the map to X. And from these assumptions, you can see that it obviously has a constructible section. So it is a covering. And such coverings actually generate this PCDH topology. And this assignment, so X goes to Debikov of coherent models on X, defines a co-pre-sheaf, or maybe pre-co-sheaf, and I don't know what is it. Yeah, but I mean, still, you need to choose where to go. So you get this co-pre-sheaf on this category of schemes with values in DG categories, because I mean the proper morphism give you the functor in the same direction. So we take push forward. And actually, what the above lemma actually claims, well, model details, is that this co-pre-sheaf is actually homotopy co-sheaf. So, I mean, this is.
What's a co-sheaf?
I mean, you take this. If you have this covering morphism, you have this. You get this huge simplicial diagram, and you require that your derived category on your scheme is a homotopy colimit. So for sheaves it will be homotopy limit, and here you take homotopy colimit. Yeah, I mean this is quite technical, but I mean this is at least you can consider just another way to interpret the same result. So we have this Grothendieck topology, and this assignment gives you homotopy co-sheaf. And I just would like to give a remark about what happens in the case which all of us know, that if you take a scheme and you take just the open cover just by two open subsets, then what is called usually the Miami-Victorious exact sequence. I mean, it can be interpreted as a Miami-Victorious triangle. What this actually means is the following: that you can take a similar diagram, just take a coherent, take the category of U1 and U2, and you take the homotopy fiber product. I mean, not co-product, but just product over the category of U1 intersecting with U2, and then you get such an equivalence. Well, not correct, but just actually quasi-equivalent. So it's the same as to define a coherent sheaf on X. You need to define it on U1 and U2, and glue on the intersection. And also, so this is on objects, and on morphisms it is a Miami-Victorious triangle. What this means, I mean, just a formulation, is that thus this assignment, so U goes to Debikov of U, defines a homotopy sheaf of the G categories in the risk topology on X. And it's quite surprising that for D models you get dual statement for this KCDH topology. So one implication of this dual statement for the models is homotopy finiteness, but probably it can be useful for some other purposes.
So why is this not equivalence? Why is it not gaining equivalence?
Yeah, well, okay, at least I've written the correct statement.
Yes. But the point, I asked this question because if it's not the Marine equivalence, then do you get a sheaf as opposed to homotopy sheaf of variables?
No, but when I say homotopy sheaf, I mean you need to fix a class of weak equivalences, and I just fix a class of Marine equivalences. It's just.
But if you don't need to do this, you need balance homotopy sheaf.
Of course we need, because it's not just on the level of G categories, it's on the level, of course everything you need to take into account with equivalences here. Okay, I think I can stop.
Any questions?
This one. Partition. Actually, I think no. Well, this. I'm sorry, Dim. For Cartesian, I think no, because basically you take this push forwards. There's. Yeah. So I think that there's no reason for it to be. Similarly, in the case of the risk topology, you don't expect to be homotopy co-Cartesian. It's just in this direction. Yes.
And get a similar theorem as it is the composition theorem.
The composition.
Is the composition theorem. There is the composition theorem of Bailey, Bernstein, and the Link.
Yes.
Could you get something in this category of that type?
You mean semi-orthogonal decomposition? No. To have the semi-orthogonal decomposition, you need to work with holonomic D models. Complexes with regular holonomic or just holonomic homology. Because to have this decomposition, you need to have adjoint functors. So that. But here, for coherent D models, your adjoint functors just don't preserve the compact objects. They're too large for this. Not the whole formalism which works for constructible sheaves and holonomic D models. Not all of this works for coherent. Different story.
Any other question? So thank you.